Hi, Charlie here. A lot of the time, animals stay well away from humans. They may be aggressive to humans, or perhaps they're scared of us and so they keep well away. But you'd be surprised to see just how intelligent some animals are when they need some human assistance. Sometimes animals find themselves in a bad place and need humans to come to the rescue. And when they do need humans, it's amazing how they seem to ask us directly for help. From dogs trapped in ice, to snakes who seriously needed a drink. Iceberg dog. 2013, Eastern Russia. The temperature was below freezing, and no one was around in the sea except for fishermen who had to go to work. It was a fairly routine day until the fishermen saw something strange floating in the water. On one of the large blocks of ice was a black blob. As soon as they took a closer look, they realized it was a dog. The dog must have been standing on some ice that broke off. By now it was stranded in the middle of the sea. The dog must have been freezing, and the fishermen had no idea how long the dog had been out there for. They acted fast and got their boat as close as they could to the dog, but every time they did, it pushed the iceberg further away. That's when one of the seamen decided to risk his life to save this dog. He jumped into the ice-cold water and swam over to the dog. He did this with a rope which was attached with a hook to the iceberg. His fellow seamen then pulled the dog over to the boat. Eventually they made it to the ship's ladder and the dog was brought to safety. The dog was freezing but was soon warmed up in the ship and was soon reunited with his furry friends. It's one thing to rescue an animal, but this seaman literally put his life at risk to save this dog. Koala. Australia is famous for its bushfires, but in 2019 these bushfires were bigger than ever before. This took the lives and displaced more than 3 billion animals. Two of the most affected types of animals were kangaroos and koalas. Many koalas were caught up in the bushfires and unable to escape. But thankfully one hero came to this koala's rescue. An average couple driving by noticed this koala stuck in a tree. That's when the woman acted fast and ran over to rescue the koala. The woman and her husband quickly grabbed some water to give the koala. That's because it was severely dehydrated. The water was also used to cool down the koala that had overheated. The animal was rushed to an animal hospital and thankfully was okay. But if it wasn't for this couple's brave actions, the koala would have been done for. Many firefighters also rescued koalas too. There was an amazing video of a firefighter giving a koala water from a bottle. At times like these, humans and animals really have to come together. Leopard. This video comes from Rajasthan, India. During a drought, one leopard was desperate for water. That's when he decided to look inside a metal pot. But in doing so, the pot got stuck on the leopard's head. This must have been very scary and uncomfortable for the leopard. But thankfully, some locals soon found the 3-year-old leopard wandering around the streets. It was trying to get the pot off its head. At first, the locals were very scared. They could not find anyone who was brave enough to take the pot off the leopard's head. That's because the leopard may be agitated and then may bite any human that tries to help it. But eventually the leopard was given some sedatives to help it relax. One brave local then took the pot off the leopard's head. Hopefully next time this leopard will be more careful. Eagle. In 2010, an American bald eagle luckily survived with its life. That was when a poacher shot off its beak. Thankfully, the eagle did survive, but experts said that nothing could be done about the beak. But the eagle's medic was determined to help her out. She contacted an engineer and made her a 3D printed beak. This was inspired by a NASA aerospace program. A mold was taken so the beak would fit perfectly on the bird. A mount was installed on the eagle's beak to keep it in place. The first time it did not fit and various versions had to be made. But eventually they got the beak to stay on. This gave the bald eagle a second chance at life. It can now hunt and chew food properly. Eagles use their beaks for building nests, catching food, and also cleaning themselves. Without them, they cannot survive in the wild. Which is why it's so amazing that this 3D printed beak saved this eagle's life. Thirsty snake. This video comes from Karnataka, India. In the area, there was a massive drought a couple of years back. During this time, many people did not have enough water, but neither did animals. One day, a gigantic cobra slithered over to a man drinking water from a bottle. The cobra seemed like it was asking for a drink, and that's exactly what the man gave it. Amazingly, the cobra calmly sipped from this plastic bottle like a human. Cobras are normally very dangerous and sometimes even bite humans. But this video proves that in desperate times, all species on Earth can coexist in harmony. The man is incredibly brave for helping this cobra. After all, at any time, this cobra could have lunged forward and bitten him. But animals are very smart not to injure humans when they're helping them. Cow. In 2015 in the UK, a cow was trapped in between two trees in a forest. Thankfully, the RSPCA was called and came to save the cow. The expert rescuers put a harness around the cow. 5 men then pulled the cow free from the two trees. The process took many hours, but thankfully the cow was totally fine and did not need any medical attention. Tiny bird. This tiny bird is actually a baby swan. Its head had got stuck in between a plastic fence. Thankfully, someone noticed and alerted the RSPCA. They got onto a small inflatable boat and sailed over to the baby swan. That's when they expertly rescued the baby swan from the fence. Turtle. Turtles are expert swimmers, but they're not exactly the most alpha predators when it comes to the deep sea. Sometimes they get into trouble and need humans to help them out. That's exactly what one diver named Guy Lloyd witnessed a few years back. In 2018, he was diving when a large turtle approached him. This was surprising as turtles normally avoid divers. But this turtle was clearly asking him for assistance. The turtle had a very spiky shell stuck to its back and could not get it off. After all, turtles' limbs are way too small to reach around to their backs. Thankfully, Guy was able to remove the spiky shell from the turtle's back. The turtle stuck around for a few seconds after the shell was removed, as if to say thanks. And then it went about its day and continued to swim off. Hats off to Guy for helping out this turtle. If this turtle hadn't ran into Guy, then it may never have got this spiky shell off its back. Whale. When diving, it's very uncommon to ever encounter a whale. But one day a diver was approached by a large sperm whale. The whale had a fishing hook stuck in its mouth, and it appeared to be asking the diver to remove it. The expert diver obliged and began to remove the hook while the whale stayed still. The diver acted as an underwater dentist and removed the hook from its mouth. You can almost see the whale sigh in relief as the hook is removed. It's amazing how intelligent this whale is. It somehow knew that this human would be able to help. After the hook has been removed, the diver strokes the whale, and unlike what would normally happen, in this instance the whale does not mind one bit. Leopard in a well. We've already seen one leopard be saved after getting a pot stuck on its head, but it seems that leopards are too curious for their own good and sometimes need some human assistance. In 2017, this leopard got stuck down a well. This happened in India's northeastern state of Assam. The leopard looked terrified as it had fallen down the well. Thankfully, because it's a feline, it did not injure itself when falling, but it was stuck in the deep well. One incredibly brave man put a ladder down the well and climbed down. Thankfully, the leopard did not attack the man despite being very scared and agitated. The man grabbed the leopard and climbed up the ladder with it. The leopard was sedated slightly so that it would relax. People cheered in excitement as the leopard was finally rescued. It had been stuck down the well for many hours. It was quickly rushed to a zoo where they made sure it was all okay. And amazingly, this leopard did not even need to recover. It experienced no injury whatsoever. But hopefully next time it will be more careful when going near any wells. Dog. In 2018, temperatures plummeted in the UK, and this caused one pup to get into a very dangerous situation. It had ran onto a frozen lake, but then the ice cracked. This led to the dog being stuck in the freezing water. Thankfully, someone noticed and alerted the RSPCA. The rescue team risked their lives going on the ice. After all, it could have cracked at any moment. Using an ice pick and a harness, the rescuer made its way over to the dog. The female rescuer then pulled the dog out of the freezing water.
Come on, keep going. going. Come on, Harvey. Come on. Come on. Good boy.
It was a very dramatic scene as the ice was cracking as the rescue was taking place. Thankfully though, the dog was smart enough to walk away from the ice and off to land. The dog was quickly warmed up, but thankfully it was totally unharmed. But if it wasn't for these hero rescuers, then it may not have been so lucky. Snake. In 2020, a snake had got stuck down a well in the UK. Thankfully, the RSPCA was called and was able to scoop it out. Using a powerful torch and a large net, the snake was removed from the well. The snake experienced no injuries whatsoever, and was soon placed into a bush and went back into its natural habitat. I think all of these videos prove that while humans and animals are different, we can coexist peacefully. Hard times really bring out the best in people and animals, and also brings every species on planet Earth together. But now it's time to make your voice heard. Comment down below which was the most heart-touching rescue on this list. If you want some more amazing videos, then check out my second channel. But as always, thanks for watching. There are some more videos you may like on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.